It was a crisp autumn evening in downtown London, the kind of night where the city's bright lights glistened off the wet pavement, and the streets hummed with the noise of bustling crowds and the occasional honking of cars. Jason Statham, known for his calm demeanor and unwavering confidence, had just finished a long day of filming for his latest movie. He was walking down the street, minding his own business, when something caught his attention. Up ahead, a man wearing a hoodie and dark sunglasses was standing near a corner shop, glancing nervously over his shoulder. In his hand was a large duffel bag, and his eyes darted around, scanning the area. Statham's instincts, honed over years of training both on and off screen, kicked in. Something wasn't right. As he continued to walk, he noticed a young woman walking alone, her hands buried deep in the pockets of her coat as she tried to avoid the chilly wind. The man in the hoodie seemed to notice her at the same time, and in one swift motion, he stepped in front of her, pulling out a knife. "Give me your bag," the man demanded, his voice low and threatening. The woman froze, her eyes wide with fear. Her hand instinctively reached for her purse, but she hesitated, unsure of what to do. The robber's knife glinted menacingly in the streetlight, and Statham's heart raced. He didn't have time to waste. Without thinking, he sprang into action. He closed the distance between himself and the robber in a matter of seconds, moving with the speed and precision of a trained fighter. The thief barely had time to react as Statham grabbed his wrist, twisting it and forcing the knife out of his hand in one fluid motion. The man yelped in pain, but Statham wasn't finished. He threw a quick knee to the thief's stomach, knocking the wind out of him, before grabbing him by the collar and slamming him against a nearby wall. The woman, still in shock, stood frozen as Statham kept the robber pinned against the cold brick, his breath coming in sharp, controlled bursts. "Stay back," Statham said to the woman, his voice calm but firm. "Call the police." The thief, now struggling to free himself, snarled in defiance. "You think you're some kind of hero? You think you've won?" he spat, his eyes wild with panic. Statham stared him down. "No," he replied coldly, "but you just made the biggest mistake of your life." At that moment, a police car pulled up, the flashing lights casting an eerie glow on the scene. Officers rushed out, their hands on their guns, ready for anything. Statham didn't move, not even an inch, as the officers approached. "Sir, step away from the suspect," one of the officers commanded, his voice steady. Statham complied, taking a step back and allowing the police to do their job. As the officers cuffed the thief and began to lead him away, the man turned back to Statham, his face twisted with anger and humiliation. "This isn't over," he threatened. "You'll regret this." Statham simply raised an eyebrow. "No, you will." The police officer who had spoken earlier approached Statham. "Thank you, Mr. Statham," he said. "You saved that woman's life. We've got this from here." Statham nodded, then turned to the woman, who was still standing off to the side, looking dazed. "Are you all right?" he asked, his tone softening slightly. She nodded, finally coming out of her shock. I don't know what to say." "Thank you." Statham smiled briefly, giving her a reassuring nod. "Just make sure to stay safe next time. Always trust your instincts." As he began to walk away, the woman called out, "Wait. Aren't you?" He turned around, giving her a brief glance. "Yeah, that's me," he said with a wink, his usual tough guy demeanor returning. "But I'm just another guy who does the right thing when it's needed." With that, he walked off into the night, disappearing into the crowd. The woman stood there for a moment, her heart still racing, processing what had just happened. The city around her seemed suddenly quieter, the chaos of the world outside briefly forgotten. But for the thief, this was just the beginning of a much darker path. As he sat in the back of the police car, he realized just how big of a mistake he'd made. In a world full of criminals, he'd targeted the wrong person. The next few years behind bars would be a harsh reminder of that deadly error. And as for Statham, well, the legend only grew. As the thief was driven away, his mind raced, replaying the sequence of events that had just unfolded. He had targeted an easy mark, or so he thought. A woman alone, seemingly defenseless. But the moment Statham had stepped into the picture, everything had gone sideways. His body ached from the impact of Statham's knee to his stomach, but it wasn't the physical pain that consumed him, it was the humiliation. He had been taken down by a man who wasn't even trying, a man who had barely broken a sweat. He had thought he was in control, but in a split second, everything had changed. He had underestimated the wrong person, and now he was paying the price. As the flashing lights of the police car blurred past, he realized something chilling. Statham wasn't just a man. He was a symbol of something deeper. This was a man who had lived a life of training, of combat, of discipline. This wasn't some average passerby. He had made the mistake of not recognizing that, and now he was facing the consequences.